A person wearing a tan ranger hat and light gray uniform shirt with badges stands at a podium indoors. They are looking downward with a neutral expression, positioned in front of wooden structural elements and interior background.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tent of Many Voices. The Tent of Many Voices is part of the core of Discovery 2 Traveling Lewis and Clark exhibit. This is a National Park Service exhibit that's been on the road since 2003 and will continue to be on the road through 2006 during the 4 years of the Lewis and Clark Expedition Bicentennial. And what we do here in the Tent of Many Voices, as we travel along the Lewis and Clark Trail, we invite in a wide variety of speakers to share their perspectives, their many voices about the Lewis and Clark Expedition, its aftermath, and also about the people that were waiting there when that expedition came along. And this afternoon, we're fortunate to have with us Lewis Adams of the Salish. He's a Salish elder and historian. He formerly spent 14 years on the tribal council. He also served in the United States Navy during the Korean conflict as a gunner on a destroyer. And what he's here to do this afternoon is talk a little bit about when the original Corps of Discovery encountered his people. So please give a warm welcome to Lewis Adams.
A person in light-colored clothing stands on the right side of a stage. Behind them is a display with 2 dark cylindrical objects and signage that reads track and department. A small round object sits on the stage floor.
Lemlem specia Luchent skulchi Chint lemt yet lwa lukot khliten tu Luchix Quinchni lukot specia. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I was invited to say a few words, to share what little I know. I'm always willing to share. This is this area here, Maltkne, our people called it. See, I'm a Salish from. Today I found out how far away I lived, 245 miles. But our people come over here through the years, and this is what they call this place, Maltkne, and that means sod houses. I guess when they come around here, they saw the first inhabitants, the settlers. I guess they built their houses of sod. So that's what they kind of named this area in our language. Many years ago, whenever this time of the year come, when our people still lived in the Bitterroot, up near Hamilton, near Stevensville, this time of the year, everybody would scatter. They'd go to their favorite haunts. A lot of people would go into which is now Idaho. Some people would go down toward Yellowstone. Ntlak Esotzket was what our people call the Yellowstone. Kulkwadlis Shench, the Yellowstone. And if they went into Idaho, they took the trail around West Fork. Now, I see on a map they call that the Nez Perce Trail, but our people called it Namshucks. All that meant was a trail to move on. And that's where our people went into, over the hill from there into Nishtet, which means deep, slow water. There was a nice campground back in, which is now Idaho. Many years ago, my great-grandpa went with some people back there, and he died back there. But they tried to get him back over into the Bitterroot, but he kept sliding off his horse. So finally they buried him on top. And right now, every summer I make it up to where he's buried at least once or twice a year. My lady and I and my grandson. My grandson, the one that was here.
A person wearing a light blue and white striped shirt with a beaded vest and long dark hair stands at a microphone on a stage. Behind them is a dark banner with partial text visible reading "Depart" in US for.
He's Chinese eaten Grey Wolf. And my lady's is Sunflower. My aunt named her that on account of her hair. So, but anyway, when our people would scatter in different places, because they lived in the Bitterroot Valley and they lived into the Big Hole country. My grandma was born not too far from where the battlefield is right now. Just down the corner from there, just downstream, is where she was born, next to the river. And there was quite a few of our people that I knew of that were born back there. But I just bring this out because my grandma was there. But that's to our people, that big hole country. That's where our people lived. They dug a lot of camas. They got arrowheads, spearheads, knife scrapers, and whatever else. I go up there once in a while and look these places over, because the places are still visible if you know where to go. And but anyway, it was this time of the year whenever, see, the Nez Perce have a trail into buffalo country. They call it Ni Mi Pu in their language, which means trail to the buffalo country. But our trails to the buffalo country is right near the Bitterroot, up between Hamilton and Darby. You come over Skalkaho. Our people call that Kaho. I think that's where the white man got Skalkaho. Kaho means many trails to the buffalo country. And our people use that. And this particular time of the year, when they come up Sud Kupu, that was when they met a strange bunch of people coming, a small band of people. There was a few of our people, though. My great-grandma used to say that was not the only white person that some of our people saw. Her dad or her grandpa, I forget which, he said we'd already met. They'd already seen a white man from Tzaltulech. And Tzaltulech to us means the cold country. I guess some trappers from Canada or somewhere. But they saw them before. But 99% of our people never had seen a white man or a white woman. But they seen the strange people coming up. They looked pretty tired. They looked pretty ragged. They were in pretty sad shape. Looked pale.
A person wearing a white and blue striped shirt and a beaded lanyard stands at a microphone on a stage. Behind them is a dark banner with partial text visible reading US for Ndepa. But they did meet him there at Sud Kupu. That's right by the head of Ross Creek, I think. But anyway, when they did meet him, you know, I got a friend, not a real good friend, yet a friend of mine I met some years ago, Dale Burke. He wrote a book on the Salish meeting the Lewis and Clark's band up there by the Sud Kupu, by Ross Hole. But I remember I got up to, the city fathers invited me to Hamilton to give a talk, and Dale Burke was talking when I got there. And he was talking about when the Salish met Lewis and Clark. He said, they call them Flatheads, but that's a misnomer. They're not Flatheads. They're Salish, or, how did he say it?
I read his book, that's how I picked that out. Otleshute, he said in the book, he said they're either Salish or Otleshute Indians. They're not Flatheads. So when he got done talking, I stopped him. I said, you wait here a while. I was up next. I said, I won't hold you back very long. I said, I've got something for you to hear. So when I talked, I said, Mr. Burke is right. Flathead is a misnomer. We're not Flatheads. I said, but what he said, Otleshute, is also a misnomer. We're not that either. I said, where he got that, wherever he heard that, I looked in his book. I said, and you might say I dissected this word, Otleshute, and I kind of thought, whenever Lewis and Clark met our people, there was no communication verbally. He probably asked these Indians, you know, Three Eagles and some of them, where do you people live? Naturally, the chief, all the Indians understood that. Three Eagles just pointed down toward, well, they were up high, up by Ross Hole, so he probably pointed just down toward the Bitterroot and said, Titley Shute. That's what that means, down below. So they must have wrote it down that they're Otleshute Indians. It didn't make sense, you know. So I remember Dale Burke scribbling down some things. I hope he was going to change that someday. But after that, I told him, you can go. That's all I had to say. I just wanted to remind you that.
A person with long braided hair holds a microphone while standing on a stage. They wear a white and blue striped shirt with decorative beadwork. Behind them is a podium and signage indicating a U.S. government department.
Anyway, when they met these people, I remember my grandma's stepmom used to say, she was there. She said, these strange people didn't concern us too much. It was this one individual, the black one. Because through the centuries, our people have a medicine dance in the wintertime. And at these medicine dance ceremonies, there's sometimes 1 to a dozen blue jays. And a blue jay will paint himself black for some special ceremony, some special reason. But there's got to be a good reason when you do that. They'll paint themselves black with ashes. And that's what they wondered. What are these people up to? What is this one individual up to? Why do they have a quascly? That's what they call a blue jay, a quascly. Wonder what they're up to. They got a quascly with them. And through sign language and they finally got across that they were concerned about this black man. So they told him, well, go check on him. So some of our people, I remember Sophie used to say that. They went up there and rubbed his face and didn't come off. Well, they realized then that that's what he was, a black man. These people weren't up to something. I mean, they were, but you know. But at the time, they just, that was their main concern, this quascly, this black man. To this day, whenever you see a colored man or whatever, that's how you describe him. You can tell somebody, I saw a black person, but that's the sign for that. And a white person just like that. When our first people met white people, they had the bangs on women. That's what that is. But anyway, from that encounter, they headed down to the Bitterroot. They helped them through the Bitterroot. They gave them what provisions they needed if they were hungry and change of clothes or whatever. They tried to give them blankets and whatever else they needed, buffalo robes, but in a lot of cases, Lewis and Clark's band didn't know how to accept these things. They thought if we accept it, maybe we're putting ourselves into something we can't get out of or whatever. It's a suspicious mind, you know. But anyway, they helped them through there, right down to Tumsimtli, down to Lolo. Tumsimtli is our people's name for Lolo, no salmon. But they took them down to Naptanishucks. And that's our name for the Nez Perce Trail that they call Snimipu. Well,
A person wearing a white and blue striped shirt with beaded details stands holding a microphone on a stage. Behind them is a dark backdrop with partial text visible reading Depar and USFD and Kulchu and Depa.
our name for that is Naptanishaks, because it's not a one-way trail like a fish trap. No, it's a two ways. Our people named it many years ago. And this Saaptanish is the Nez Perce to our people. That's why they call it Naptanishaks, not just going to the Nez Perce country, going through the Nez Perce country, because this trail went clear to Tlamet, which is the ocean, and that was the trail that we established many years ago. But whenever our people used to laugh about, I remember the old people used to laugh about when they heard that this band of people had a leader that was taking them through, a young woman. They said, you know, why didn't they, I'm going to say it, Cluas and Tex, Taxaost, Kunaut Skaltami, Kunaut Sisius, Skaltami, May at them Pluchok Shius, Tim Taxaost, Kun some aim, Holshaost, Holshao. They always said, if they really was sincere on going through a fast trip, they'd have hired one of our Salish, a young man or a middle-aged man that knew the country. He'd have got them through there in 2 days. Because they said, a young woman, she didn't know the country. That's why they got lost. They got into some inaccessible areas where the snow was deep. They had to eat their dogs, their horses, whatever. They used to laugh about that. They felt sorry for him, but they said, if they'd have hired a middle-aged man, you'd have got him through there in 2 days. But that was our encounter with Lewis and Clark. It wasn't too much. They helped him. They was good to him. They helped him with horses and food and provisions, whatever they needed. And that was our encounter. There isn't too much to tell on that because, like I say, when they met him, they treated him good all the way through. And when they come back, they met him again for a while. And when they come through, I guess the Missoula area, and come over and through this country. But this place right in this area is also where a good friend of our people come through and almost made it to Canada, to the Bear Paws. Unmusked, our people called him. And that was Chief Joseph. He was a good friend to our people. Do I have time to tell you people about our encounters with Chief Joseph?
A person wearing a light purple striped shirt and beaded vest stands holding a microphone on a stage. Behind them is a dark backdrop with partial text visible reading U.S. and what appears to be agriculture or similar government department text.
Because, like I say, Lewis and Clark thing wasn't too long. But whenever Chief Joseph come from his country, whenever the army was following him, he got to, you've all heard of Fort Fizzle. He got close there. He had a runner ahead of him. But he'd come back and told Chief Joseph, he said, there's somebody waiting for us up ahead. So he told her, Your Honor, we'll wait here. You go on ahead. You go to Charlot's camp and get us some help to make it through here. So this young man skirted Fort Fizzle, and he got to Charlot's camp, and he told, the reason I know this so well, John Delaware, I heard John Delaware tell about this, because he was one of the young men that went back and helped Joseph's people come through. But he says when the runner got there, he told Charlot what was going on. So he sent John Delaware and 2 of his brothers back with this young man. He said, and when we got back where Joseph was, where Unmusked was, that was his name to our people. And to this day, I kick myself on the hind end for not asking at that time why they called him that. It means 8 days, but there had to be a reason, and I never did. I thought our old people were going to be here forever, but I never found out why. But anyway, when John and his two brothers went back with this runner, he said, we got back to on Musk, and we told him where to come through, on the Tzaltulech side of this draw. And to our people, Tzaltulech side is the north side, the cold side. So we come on top of the ridges, we said, and we come through there, and we skirted all them people down there. There was even some of our young renegade Indians down in that bunch. And how they got them enticed to join them, whiskey, the firewater, the poison. But John Dale, we used to laugh about that. All these guys went over there to Fort to get drunk, so we weren't worried about them. So he said, we got them back to Charlot's camp. And he told Charlotte, we'd like to stay with you a few days and rest. Our old people are tired, our kids are tired, our horses are tired. And Charlotte told him at that time, you can stay. Any number of your people can stay. You can all stay if you want to. You can live with us. But remember, we won't help you fight. The days of fighting the Suyapi, the white man, is over. If we help you fight, we'll all be wiped out. So Joseph told him, no, we just want to rest. But yet some of his people did stay. To this day, there's some of our people that have ancestry from Nez Perce. And when they left the Bitterroot, they went as far as Medicine Tree. They camped close to it. And Joseph sent his medicine man, Qarqalsna. He said, you go over to that medicine tree.
A person with long braided hair wears a light blue and white striped shirt. They are positioned in front of a blurred interior background, looking downward with a contemplative expression.
And find out what do we have to do. So Qarqalsna went over there and he prayed for a long time. He was there for a long time and he come back. He told Han Musk, he says, we got to pack up, we got to leave. Because, and Joseph told him, no, we can't. I appreciate what you done. I know you mean well. But we got to rest. We have to stay here, maybe not as long as we should, since you told us of why we got to leave. He said, but we have to rest. And he said, and besides, the army's way behind us. They're not even close. And Qarqalsna told him, that's not what I mean. There's others. There's others. Because Chietlt, because Chkuplt, because Chlemtlt. We've got others that's sneaking up on us, that's surrounding, that's looking at us. We have to have people out there. We've got to have our scouts watch. So he said, well, we have to rest anyway. So they did leave before they had to. And here it was, volunteers, people from Fort Missoula that did close in on Chief Joseph, because when he went through, he talked to some of the other people. He said, to this day, I mean, till he died, I bet he was sorry, because he did talk to some of the settlers in the Bitterroot Valley and in near Lolo and near Victor, wherever he had to go through. Some of the settlers told him, yeah, you're okay. You just go ahead. Nobody's going to bother you. But when he got to the Big Hole country where the battle took place, he was relaxed. He let his guard down. Until he died, I bet he wished he'd have sent a couple scouts back trail and to watch. But he didn't. He took the word of some of the good people. He took the word that they wouldn't be bothered. He relaxed, and that's why they were caught up to. A lot of his women and kids and men were wiped out there. But this is why the Fort Missoula, Fort Benton, Fort Shaw, Fort Smith, Fort anything, the dominant society have a different name for every fort in the United States. To our people, all forts have one name, Suputstue. And all that means is home of the killers. because that's what they saw at the time. Anytime the army, the soldiers come out of there, what were they?
A person in a light purple striped shirt with decorative beadwork stands holding a microphone on a stage. Behind them is a dark backdrop with partial text visible reading Agricole and Vice and Educati.
They're going to do? It was going to kill somebody. So that was why they called all forts Putstwe. But anyway, that was Han Musk, Joseph's encounter with our people. They helped him as much as they could, let him rest. And when they were caught up to hear it, the bear paws, that's where they was caught up to. But that's what I have to share with you today. And when I say my grandma's stepmom used to say, if it wasn't for the good people, we wouldn't be here today. Because at once upon a time there was a move to wipe out. There was a move to sweep us Indians off the face of the earth. But there were too many good people. And that's whenever I speak, if I go to the University of Montana or Montana State in Bozeman, no matter where I speak, I bring this up because if there wasn't good people, you people wouldn't be sitting there. You'd say, hell with it, I'm going to go listen to an Indian. There's too many people in this world. They outnumber the bad ones. That's why I'm still here. My grandkids, everybody else is still here. And this is what was handed down to me. And I lived by that. I ran onto a lot of prejudice when I was in service. But a lot of my white buddies would be here. Never mind. Don't pay attention to them yo-yos. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I want to thank you.
Did anybody have any questions? Let me come around with the microphone so everybody can hear them.
Is it on? It's on. It was interesting when you mentioned maybe one of your tribesmen might have gone with them to show them the shorter, quicker way. Would they? It must have been a communication barrier that they couldn't communicate. That would have been an impossibility for them, wouldn't it?
Either that or they were at the foregone conclusion that this young lady was going to lead them. I don't know. Yeah.
Right? Another question?
You grew up in the Bitterroot?
No. I was born in our Flathead reservation presently. See, there's Ponderay, Kootenai, and Flathead, or Salish. That's all thrown in one basket, and we're called at that time Flatheads. And that's our present home now. 1.25 million acres. When they sent us out of the Bitterroot, our area, and that area was about 22 million.
A person in a light purple striped shirt holds a microphone while standing on a stage. Behind them is a backdrop with partial text visible including Agricole and Vice and Educati.
Million acres. So there was even trade, according to the Amotkan, to the big man, wherever he was at.
Do we have any more questions? All right. Hold on.
How come Chief Joseph didn't take what people he had left to Canada?
What was the question?
How come Chief Joseph didn't take what people he had left to Canada?
How come Chief Joseph didn't take the people he had left to Canada to escape?
Well, because the army was after him, and he thought if he gets into Canada, he was going to be safe after he crossed the international boundary. But he didn't quite make it, and I think some people said he thought he was in Canada, but he wasn't. Anyway, he was overtaken, and that's where he gave it up, says, from where the sun now stands, no more will I fight. That was it.
Did you guys have any more questions?
How about some answers? No.
Well, let's again thank Lewis here for joining us in the 10 Mini Voices. Oh, there we do. One more question.
Would you say the name of what you called the fort again?
This fort here? Oh, all the forts? Put away. Spurstue. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And that means a killer. Uh-huh.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you. And our next program. Our next program will be just after 4 o'clock, and we're going to hear a program entitled Sacagawea Speaks.